That's the Red Sox images added to that montage when the '86 series is history. We welcome you to Fenway Park for Game 4. A bit cooler than last night, but still pleasant conditions. Temperatures in the high 50s. Hello again, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. Trailing 2-1. The Mets hand the ball to Ron Darling on 3 days rest, while the Red Sox raise some eyebrows by giving Al Nipper his first postseason start. Look at that ERA, 5.38. Now, as far as Darling is concerned, he, of course, was the tough luck loser to Bruce Hurst in Game 1. An unearned run beat him 1-0. He says he likes to work on short rest. Coming back on 3 days, he feels he has better control of his breaking pitches. Certainly rest is no problem as far as Nipper is concerned. He hasn't pitched since October 4th. Realistically, John McNamara hopes that Nipper can get the Red Sox through 6 innings, keep them in the game, and then they can go to the bullpen. Nipper can be tough if he has control of his wide assortment of breaking pitches. He has a pretty good curveball. He is certainly not an overpowering pitcher. For his part, he says he knows he has had an off year, but he hopes tonight to deliver the game of his life. And Marv Albert, if he's to do it, he'll certainly need better defensive support than Oil Can Boyd got in the first inning in Game 3.
Bob, as it turns out, in each of the first 3 games of this series, a misplay has helped turn the game around. Saturday night, Game 1 at Shea Stadium. It was the ground ball by Rich Gedman right through the legs of Tim Tuffle, allowing Jim Rice to score the only run of the game. Game 2, Sunday night, 3rd inning. Keith Hernandez, perhaps the finest fielding first baseman of the game, messing up the Roger Clemens bunt, leading to a 3-run inning for Boston. Last night, in game number 3, this helped take the Red Sox out of it in the Mets' 4-run first inning. Catcher Rich Gedman taking the blame on a rundown mix-up, but it was a combination of Gedman and shortstop Spike Owen responsible for letting the Mets off the hook. It all began with the bouncer to Wade Boggs, and I talked about it with Boggs.
It was just one of those plays that you go over it a million times in spring training, and you're going to blow it once or twice during the year.
Is that depressing to the ball club, because it contributed to that 4-run fast start by the Mets?
Well, at the time, this score was 2-0, and if we would have got out of it and got the rundown play correctly, then the score would have been 3-0 after that inning. So really, all it enabled the Mets to do was score one more run.
When you think Wade Boggs, you think 3-time American League batting champion, but you have been putting on a Brooks Robinson-type display in the World Series. Now, a batter can get hot. Can a fielder get hot?
Oh, most definitely. If all the bounces go right, you can look like Brooks Robinson or Craig Nettles out there. I was fortunate enough to make 2 diving plays and a couple backhand plays and start a double play. And I think in a spectacle like this, everything's magnified, and it really enhances everything you do out there.
Did it bother you when you were referred to as a below-average fielder at third base?
Oh, most definitely, because I come out and work harder on my fielding than I do my hitting, because it doesn't come natural, and I just go out there and try to take as many ground balls as I can, and so far it's paid off.
You faced Ron Darling, Game 1, got you looking, couple of bounce outs, 0 for 4. Can you learn from the experience and bring that into tonight's game as something that might help you?
Oh, most definitely. It's a different feeling when you haven't faced a guy and you're facing him for the first time. You're feeling him out, and you don't know how he's going to work you. Now I know how he's going to work me, and I basically have a good idea.
And you've solved the puzzle of Ron Darling?
I don't know if I'll solve the puzzle. I'll let you know that after tonight.
All right, thank you, Wade, and we'll be visiting with Ron Darling in just a moment.
NBC Sports presents the World Series, an inside look. Brought to you by Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal. By Apple Computers, makers of the Apple II and Macintosh families of personal computers. And by Contel, big company communications for companies of all sizes. Rays in the playoffs, then against the Cardinals in the World Series. But in the years since then, things have changed dramatically for Dick Howser. We knew you'd be interested in an update on his circumstances, and Bill McAtee sought him out.
I mean, it's awfully tough when you're on top of the world. You've won an All-Star game, and the year before you won the World Series, and you're kind of on top of the world, and all of a sudden you're not on top of the world.
It is unlikely you could find a more well-liked and well-respected man in baseball than Dick Howser. 3.5 months ago, the country watched as Dick's life began to change dramatically. While managing the American League to a rare All-Star Game victory, he began to suffer a stiff neck and severe headaches. When he returned to Kansas City and checked into the hospital, a CAT scan showed a tumor. Surgery revealed the worst. The tumor was malignant. After 6 weeks of radiation treatments completed in 3, Dick has lost 14 pounds. But he remains encouraged and optimistic.
When I went to the hospital, I underwent a lot of tests. That's when I didn't know what was going on because I was probably pretty heavily sedated and all, and they ran a test, and they found out that I had a tumor, had a brain tumor.
And then there was the question of whether or not it was malignant.
Yeah.
When one hears something like that, what goes through your mind?
It'll get your attention. I can't deny that.
I was very silent. I was stunned. I was listening very carefully to every word that they were saying. I kept hearing the diagnosis and what they were saying, and I expected them to say, but it can be taken care of.
I was frightened a little bit, sure. But how frightened, I don't really know. I don't recall. I don't think it brought me to tears at that time. I've had some tears. I've shed some tears since then. The first thing I remember saying, let's go get this thing. Let's beat it.
How we doing, buddy? Hanging right in there. Hey, man, peace go. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you got it. I think the nicest thing I hear is how good I look. I kind of look good. I do. I feel like I've been vacationing in Florida playing golf, and I don't want to put myself in a position where everything's going to necessarily be all right. I don't mean that. I feel that way, but I want people to know that I play golf, that I feel good.
It is pretty out here.
It is, isn't it?
Since the surgery, Dick and his wife Nancy have become devoutly religious. A week ago, the Royals announced Dick would return as manager next year, and now his doctors consider the next phase of his treatment.
I don't want them to feel sorry for Dick Hauser. I think their sorrow is placed in the wrong place. It doesn't do any good to be bitter about this thing. I want to think about managing. I want to think about getting through this thing medically, and then I want to think about managing a ball club. And I think about them both, and that keeps me going.
When you're alone with your thoughts and you think about where you are right now, what goes through your mind?
Once again, sometimes depression, but not for very long. I don't feel sorry for myself very long. I just feel, I said it earlier, I feel like we're going to get this thing licked. Somehow, through the Lord, through my medical team, through all the support that I've got, we're going to beat this thing.
Telecommunications simply means making a connection. Me to you, A to B. When that meant creating a communications network, 22,000...
For the United States Air Force. Winner of 2 Grammy Awards. She has appeared at the Broadway stage and the Metropolitan Opera House in New York. And we're very proud to say, a graduate of the University of Massachusetts. Please join vocalist Natalie Cole in the singing of our national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Coming up next, Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola with the play-by-play of Game 4 right after we check with New York in this update from NBC News.
Here.
Your world should know no boundaries. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully. Welcome to Game 4, which should bear the label, The Gamble of John McNamara. You have to go back in the record books to 1947, seventh game of the World Series, to find a starting pitcher with a higher earned run average than Al Nipper. That was Hal Gregg of the Dodgers, who was KO'd in the fourth inning. The Yankees won the game 5-2, and they won the World Series. However, McNamara's gamble is well thought out. It gives Bruce Hurst and Roger Clemens an extra day's rest. It also means the Mets will not have to see Bruce Hurst twice more in the series. It means that Roger Clemens will not pitch at Fenway Park in the World Series. And it also means if it goes 7 games, the ball will be in the volatile hands of Oil Can Boy. However, John McNamara is ahead in the series. He's playing with house money, and he's able to gamble and gamble with the odds. The fellow who's going to call that bet will be Len Dykstra, leading off for the Mets. Let's meet him and go to Joe Garagiola.
Okay, Vin, a calculated gamble it is, and for the Mets, the ace in the hole has been Lenny Dykstra. Lenny, have you ever faced Nipper?
Well, we faced him in spring training this past spring, and I got 2 at-bats off him. He kind of reminds me of the guy that pitches in the National League named Eric Schau. I'm going to, try and look for the same type of thing and not really try and do too much, just try and get on base.
I read yesterday in a cab you said you just wanted to get on base the first time. Do you have a plan today?
Well, I'll tell you, I did the same thing I did yesterday. I got up the same time, I ate the same thing, and took the cab at the same time to have him drop me off at the same spot. So I'm going to try and do the same thing I did last night, and that's get on base a few times and help the ball club win.
It's a good thing you're not superstitious, huh?
I don't know. Everyone in baseball is superstitious. Don't ever let them tell you different. You know that.
How about bunting? We haven't seen you really bunch it.
Well, I tried to lay one down yesterday. It's a good thing to show them. It keeps the infield in, and you might see me bunt tonight. You never know. I might bunt 2 or 3 times.
Okay, good luck to you.
All right, thank you, Bill.
We'll be back right after these messages.
All right, tonight's ball game, and first of all, we should say, outside of the pitchers, there